Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. I'm Rob Kammer, and this week we are going to sit down with Sturdy Sal Mistretta. A big fan of his work, as I've said on the podcast and have promoted in various ways. Big fan of Power Pro Lucha Libre, even putting my money where my mouth is, and have been a sponsor of a handful of events. And he's even made his way to it's not the West Coast, but it's Vegas, so made his way out west to be part of Dark Sheik's worst wrestling show, Wrestlemania week. Is part of the two 5'5" guys in a 45-minute Iron Man match. Special edition, of course, the Pat McAfee Memorial version of said Iron Man match. And of course, we cover that. Of course, we cover his time in Power Pro Lucha as well. Two things that I have thoroughly enjoyed in my work with independent wrestling. But yeah, we get to hear his story, how cool it is to just be Sturdy Sal in general. So you know how I do this thing. It's the short intro. We're gonna get the plugs out of the way, so that way you can just jump right in and talk with Sturdy Sal. So let's do it. Get yourself an energy drink, get yourself a coffee machine, and get yourself a cup of coffee while you're at it. And when we come back, I'll be sitting down with Sturdy Sal. Hey folks, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast has become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top-of-the-line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Confusion Wrestling Podcast. As I said at the top of the show, very special guest sitting in the studio today. You've seen him on Triller through GCW. You've seen him in Ring of Honor, hopefully. Or if nothing else, Power Pro Lucha Libre on IWTV. He is one half of the state champs, Sturdy Sal Mistretta. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me on, Rob. I appreciate it. Excited to chat with you.
I'm doing well. I've been looking forward to this for a bit because you've been on my radar for a while with a big Power Pro fan, for occasional sponsor of the program as well. So it's putting my money where my mouth is and getting people on the show where I can. But before we get into the hard-hitting stuff of including Power Pro Lucha Libre, I like to start things off in most programs with the always original, never before asked question. How did you get into pro wrestling? What made you a fan of the sport?
Great question. Never heard it before, but no, I'm kidding. But for me, I loved I kind of got into wrestling in 06, 07 when I was a kid in elementary school. Watched it up until probably about 2010, 2011. And then I was a big TNA and WWE fan. I watched the TNA back then and had the older WWE guys that moved over there, like Angle, Sting, Booker T. And AJ was my favorite, AJ Styles. And then when I saw him come back he didn't come back, but came to WWE in 2016, 2017, whatever it was with the Rumble. Kind of piqued my interest, got me back in, and that's kind of when I found the indie wrestling. And I said, hey, these guys aren't 6'6", jacked out of their minds, 1% body fat, look like bodybuilders. Maybe I could do this. And that was kind of the start. After college, kind of wanted to do something after football was over and kind of fell into the wrestling thing, tried it out, see if I could do it, and ended up loving it. So that's kind of the short abbreviated version. But I would say that's kind of how I got into wrestling, and then kind of found it and kind of took off running from there.
You're a high school, college athlete too, huh?
Yes. Yep. Didn't wrestle, which is a common thing that I get. Never did amateur wrestling. I did play football throughout college. My dad's a football coach in New Jersey high school football. He actually was inducted in the Hall of Fame a couple years ago, New Jersey Hall of Fame. So that was cool for him. and yeah, and played baseball throughout high school as well. But played football couple of years in college, D3. It was a lot of fun and enjoyed it up in Pennsylvania. So
So I like to ask whenever I get someone on who's done sports at a higher level, how was it training, say, for like football and going into professional wrestling training?
yeah. So like, as I mentioned, like the main difference is the calisthenics versus just like raw power strength, and then the cardio. Like I was saying, football is like you get a little 30-second break in between each play. You don't get water or anything, but you're not just going. Wrestling, that's the big difference, and I would say like most people would tell you, there's not really a way to train in ring cardio besides just like wrestling. So that was a um, huge thing for me to kind of figure out. Which I would say I have, thankfully. But yeah, um, kind of that's the two big differences I would say is the cardio and the type of workout you're doing. More controlling your own body weight than trying to just throw as much weight around in the weight room as possible.
That's fair. I always like think back to early Evolve, back
Hmm.
when it was its own thing,
Yeah,
and they really hyped up like the styles of competitor,
yeah,
and they had, I believe it was Jimmy Jacobs,
hmm,
when like talking about like how everybody talked about like their background or like how they prepared for matches, and Jimmy Jacobs was just like, I wrestle as much as I can. I get
that's
into
what it.
every ring I see.
Yeah,
That like I do I lift weights occasionally,
yeah, yeah,
but that stuff does not replicate what it's like in the ring, what it's like
sure.
going at a high level, uh, in general. Like, so I get in the ring, even if I'm not booked, if I'm just in an area that has a school with a ring,
Hmm.
I go roll around with the students. If I'm booked, I go, I obviously have my match, take as many matches as I can,
Yep.
that sort of thing. Um, and I think it's interesting because you talked about like the body control, and but given the fact Cheeseburger is one of your trainers, and he's been, I mean, wrestling at a high level and been about so a handful of lucha adjacent promotions
Hmm.
as well, and they're very much, I mean, lucha's very much body control, and we'll
Yeah,
touch on the keyword lucha with Power Pro here in a minute.
yeah.
But speaking of cardio and being able to go, I really kind of want to start the party off Wrestlemania week with
Oh.
the the alleged worst show, Wrestlemania week, the WWWS WWF, because you were part of the one half of the Pat McAfee Memorial, two 5-foot guys in a 45-minute Iron Man match.
Yep.
Also, proud sponsor of that event, and I paid extra to have that renamed. So
Perfect. Yes, we
that was all
appreciate
me.
that. They're perfect. I mean, it was Kid Isaac was awesome. Um, that was I think it was like Sheik sent me the official time. I think it was like 2 hours, 40 something minutes, 42 minutes or something like that was like the official time from bell to bell. Um, and yeah, I mean, obviously we took our breaks in there. We had a bar break. Tom Lawler came up, bought us some beers during the middle of the match. That was a real fun time. Yeah, I don't even know. The idea was, I remember when she DM'd me and was like showing me like telling me an idea. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And then she's like, we got to find another 5'5" guy, and I'm like, good luck with that. And yeah, it was really fun. That show was just awesome in general. Cheese was on that show. He was in the blindfold tag match. There was the NBA Jam Challenge, which I somehow got involved in, and I was more tired in that than I was in the 2.5 hour match. Like, I'm like, all right, I just finished my match. We're not really gonna play like basketball, and then everyone's in there like actually playing basketball, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. So, yeah, that was great experience. Yeah, I think there was a total of probably like 4 actual minutes of wrestling in that match, but it was a good 4 minutes, and a lot of brawling around, making sure that we had to use our time wisely. So we had to make the most of it, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was not there at Vegas, so I only got like, I was really hoping she could do what she said and put it out on DVD. Well, she hasn't done the DVD yet, but she has clipped it and put it up on YouTube.
Yes.
And I love how it was framed. That like they almost framed you guys kind of like as like a TV show,
Yep.
almost
Yeah.
kind of
It was just like they would break to us. Yep.
yeah, doing whatever. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, like as a guy who throws money haphazardly at things. It was my extra like $20 was totally worth it just to hear Tom Lawler say the Pat McAfee Memorial.
Yeah, yeah, no,
And him just like wandering into the shot like
yeah, yeah, that was
the
hilarious. And
brewery.
even like that wasn't planned. He was just at the show, and then he saw us doing the thing, and he was like, I think he just came to say what's up to us. And then he realized the camera was on. He's like, "Oh shit!" And then I see him the next day at Bloodsport. I'm walking like by him on commentary. He like stops me and like gives me a dap up. I'm like, all right, this is awesome. Like it was such a cool experience just being in Vegas in general, but having that match was so fun, man. It was great. It was a good time. And yeah, like I said, I love the way that they kind of put it together and they put together the clips, had the camera. The poor camera woman was just like following us around the whole night. Like, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like for anyone who hasn't seen it on YouTube, it's on the Slamtown/Hood Slam YouTube, and they've
Mhm.
broken it up into slightly more easy to digest parts,
Yeah,
four or five,
I gotta
like.
tell Sheik to put out the uncut footage, the 2.5, 2 hour, 42 minute footage.
But yeah, just like blew my like. You guys started off legit, and then just like wandered off. A camera goes off, and they're just like, whatever. We're just gonna have another match,
Mhm.
and like as things are going
We came
on,
back
and
during the one match, and there was thumbtacks on the ground. I didn't know. I slammed Isaac in the thumbtacks. He's like, ah! I'm like, oh, I took it out. I was like, oh, my bad, man. I didn't know they were in there. But yeah, that was yeah, we were coming back periodically. I think the mermaid match was the match that we finished the regulation portion of it, and then obviously we went into overtime, sudden death. But yeah,
like the show was just insane in general. And like I don't know how she pitched it to you, but like in terms of like as a sponsor, it was the most haphazard like
no,
like sponsorship I've ever done, because like almost every time anything I was sponsored, people's either like give me a direct package, like here for this much money you get X, X amount of thing, or like some people, or they'll just be like, oh, okay, we don't normally do sponsors or like whatever, but just like here, this is what, like here, how's this sound, and then I go, okay, that's cool. Sheik never gave me a number.
she's just like whatever you want.
Yeah, and like so like the only number I saw from her was like online when she was talking about like, this is the only time I've ever solicited for sponsors, and I want this to still be DIY, so I'm not going to charge that much money for a sponsorship.
Mhm.
And she just and in the post, this is all online, the post said like, I think I'm going to top out at $75. And when I reached out, she's just like, yeah, yeah, I'm still looking for sponsors. And we made some jokes because I tried to use my clout to get Minoru Suzuki booked, uh, but I don't know even know if he was around the weekend. But yeah, she never gave me a number. She basically just eventually just gave me like the PayPal
Yeah.
information, and I just sent an arbitrary amount of money and said, if it's not enough money, I will send more.
Yeah, for me it was like because I was on Hood Slam in like March, so I was like, yeah, I'll be out there if you want me on this show. And she's on the show already. She's like, yeah. And then she's like, a couple weeks later, she was like, yeah, we'll have you on. We're gonna try to find another 5'5" dude to have, because it was right after Pat McAfee said whatever he said, 5'5" dude to have a 60-minute Iron Man match.
Yeah.
And at first, I'm like, I don't really want to have a 60-minute Iron Man match. But then I understood where we were going with it, so it was all right.
Yeah, like that was like, it was all hilarious. And then like that was like step one. And then when it was just going to be it was just originally two 5 foot guys in a 45-minute Iron Man match. And as you said, for everyone not long, like Pat McAfee cut, I don't know, some sort of promo on WWE
Yeah.
television complaining about how he didn't want to see two 5'5" guys wrestle an Iron Man match on TV
Mhm.
for like whatever reason. So she put that together. And I'm like, if you're gonna do that, you got to go all out with it. And I just basically said, hey, I will pay extra if you rename it the Pat McAfee Memorial. And then she just said, I accept these terms. And like, this was all on Blue Sky. So like, this wasn't even in private. So at least the latter part is blatantly out there, like verbal contract on social media. And I'm like, okay. And I just sent another arbitrary amount of money her way and said, if it wasn't enough, like, let me know. And
Yeah.
she never said like anything. Like she didn't even technically like say anything after I said the money. I just saw my logo on
Yeah.
the
Hey, there you go. Hey, at least
like,
that's how
hey,
you know. That's your confirmation.
yeah, like it's whatever. But like the entire thing is hilarious, and like, and I just loved like that. Like wrestling purists will hate it, but like I'm a firm believer that there's room for everything in wrestling,
For sure.
and like this show was closer to performance art than professional
Oh,
wrestling by every stretch of the imagination, and I personally loved every minute of it.
yeah, and I don't get to do the comedy stuff a lot, so I mean, for me to do that and kind of get me out of my comfort zone, just in general, was good. I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, I love Kid Isaac was awesome to work with. Um, it would have been better if he was actually five. He would have won if he was actually 5'5", but that's what happens. That's what happens with
Yeah.
what happens when you like. There's only one 5'5" wrestler that the best in the world, and that's me. So
We should make that. We should just make that like a part of your your wrestling aura now. Like, I specialize and I will wrestle anybody under 5'5" in an Iron Man match. And
yeah, I might have to start telling ring announcers to put like the best, the winner of the Pat McAfee more whatever. Yeah, I might have to tell people that's got to go in front of my thing, but we'll see. That would be funny if I made every ring announcer say that. But. Or I at least should do it when I was at Hood. I should have done it at Hood Slam when I was there a couple weeks ago. I didn't even think about that, but that's what I should have done.
I actually I think it'd be really funny for that to happen. Like, you've worked a handful of times with GCW. I think that'd be hilarious for GCW.
Yeah,
consider how like faux serious they take themselves, and then just like whenever they ask you the winner of the inaugural Pat McAfee.
I'm gonna have to have it every year now. We might just have to keep finding 5'5" people to wrestle.
Just make it a tradition, and at least until someone has the money to book Microman. And
I mean, I'm that's when I'll drop it, because that's
no shame in that.
That's the goat there of the under 5'5" guys. So
to kind of segue from that part, so since we're making the jokes about the 5'5" and finding people like that size, like. What's it like working with someone like say Kid Isaac who's your size? Like, usually I ask this to the guys who are like 7 foot tall, like, they're like, oh, well, you finally get to fight someone your own size. What's that like? In the case where wrestling is traditionally like the land of the giants, like what was it? How's that experience of working someone closer to your size, like directly?
So it's weird. Honestly, it's like whenever I'm working people my size, or even a little bit like taller than me, like, but not like as stocky as me. I'm normally like the powerhouse guy. Like, I'm gonna base for stuff and things like that. Where I get into weird scenarios where like I wrestle dudes with like Greg Excellent when I wrestled him at GCW. It's like he's a big dude. Like, I can't do all my I can't just throw him around like I would throw all the little guys. Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of when I gotta. I'm in a weird predicament where I'm a smaller guy, but like I'm a strong, stocky guy. That is like, I'm probably gonna be, the powerhouse in a match, unless it's like a really big dude, and then I gotta kind of figure out where I'm gonna go with there. And having those matches with guys like Greg Excellent has been good for me to figure out like ways I can incorporate other stuff into my offense, but. Cheese actually complains all the time that all my moves are bumps. So it's like he's like I don't want to take any of them. I'm like, oh, sorry, man, but it's kind of a weird thing where it's like I'm always the big guy in the matches, even if it's like I wrestle like Flying Ryan and he's a 6 foot skinny kid, and it's like I'm throwing him around even though I'm 6 inches shorter than him because I'm the strong guy. Like. I find myself in that scenario a lot, which is good. That's kind of how I've been, but that's it's kind of a weird situation. And when you get a dude my height, they're usually like, smaller and skinnier than I would be. So it's kind of the same thing. Like it's that's normal for me at this stage where I get in the weird scenarios, the guys that I can't just throw around, and it's like, now what do I do? It's all my moves are gone.
And just watching you on TV, I never realized like how like the 5'5" thing until it came up in because your style is not someone we would consider smaller, because you're a thick guy. And sometimes like if I really know, like, oh yeah, there are a handful of inches between you, especially like in comparison with in the state champs with David Moses. Like I noticed it a little bit more, but when you're in the ring like one-on-one, like I've not really noticed it enough to think about it, because you're just kind of like throwing guys around, and like wrestling posture in and of itself is kind of weird anyway, unless you're trying to blow yourself up and make
Yeah,
sure
no,
like
I've had people
look
tweet at me, they
huge.
think I'm like 6 foot. I'm like, that's a great compliment to me. I've been wishing I was 6 foot since I was like 12 years old. But yeah, I also move around a lot to make sure people can't keep me in they can't lock me in one spot to gauge my height. But yeah, no, I feel like a lot of it's presence, like the way you carry yourself and things like that. That's a huge thing. And like I said, like like you mentioned, I'm a stockier guy. I would say is a sturdy looking dude, if I would say so myself. So I think when you have that, it kind of like you said, you don't notice the height thing as much unless I'm in there with like if I was in there with someone like 7 foot, you'd be like, oh okay, now I really see it. But dudes that are like 6 foot, average height kind of guys, I don't think you see it as much just because of the build and uh like how I'm built and things like that. And like you said, how I operate in the wrestling ring. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and like I don't know, like posture and like frame of reference
Yeah.
is like always like so weird because like I'll throw out there like I derailed like a guest spot I did on another podcast because
Mm-hmm.
like I referenced like oh like the guy weighed as much as I did but like I'm 6 inch like no I wasn't 6 inches but he's like I'm like 4 inches taller than him
Mm-hmm.
and they're like oh, I thought you guys were the same height. I'm like no I'm like 6'3" and they're like
Yeah.
oh well like you only see me on a screen like it's hard
Mm-hmm.
to it's hard to tell
Yeah, no,
how
for sure.
tall and then also by proxy out of shape I am when does you see me live in person. So like I get it, and like in my case like I come from a residential background, like I
Mhm.
did residential care, so like being a kind of big dude, like do you know like how hard air quotes I had to work to not be like a threatening presence?
Yeah, yeah,
Like not
no,
that I'm
for
like mean
sure.
and mean mugging everything, but like I'm you know
Taller,
averaging
yeah.
like yeah I'm taller and like I've always hovered at least 200 pounds and plus in my grown age and as I get older I get fatter, um but like not one of those folks were like ever afraid of me. So like I did something that part something right. Just the staff is always like, "Oh dear, like how
Yeah.
do you handle like well because I don't be a jerk and I don't try to fight people, so
Yeah,
like, it's
no, I feel like it's like
fine."
in the situations, you learn how to carry yourself I mean, I don't think in real life I'm walking around like people are like, "Whoa, that guy's not 5." Like, I mean, people probably look at me on the street, they're like, "That's a pretty short guy." But, when you're in the ring and it's like, and like I said, there's a lot of movement too. But yeah, I think it's
it's
like you kind of
it's
adapt
Mawa.
to the situation for how you want to carry yourself. Yeah, and I haven't. I was really worried getting into wrestling, and that was one thing I said. And Cheese is a great example because Cheese is a skinnier guy, like always been a skinnier guy throughout his career, and it's just like that was a big thing for me. I was always worried about my height, like would that be a hindrance on me? And so far, knock on wood, it hasn't been in what I've been able to do. So yeah, and I mean that's what she said. He's like, there's dudes like Gresham out there that
Yeah.
I'm as tall as Gresham, and Gresham's been Ring of Honor champ and done some insane things. So yeah, it was definitely something I was worried about getting into wrestling, and I'm glad that I really haven't had to worry about it since I started like actually working. And I mean it's also a very different time in wrestling where
Oh yeah.
anyone can be a wrestler and do anything if they have the right mindset and if they're good enough. So kind of let the work speak for itself and go from there.
Well, and I think it like, and I think those things as a whole affect positively. It
Yes,
can or it can positively affect like the psychology of matches and the story told within individual
for
matches too.
sure.
So like you don't want everybody being 6'5", chiseled and 265. Like
Yeah.
that gets boring. Looking at
Hmm.
you like 2005 WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoops, said that part out loud.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting a job with them anyway. It's fine. But that's like I made a comment online about that like today. Like I know like the beauty of wrestling is like that everyone needs to be a little bit different, whether it's the attire, their body shape, or whatever. And really, as long as you can put on a good match and tell that story,
Yeah.
which the story itself varies from match to match about who you're in there with. And
Hmm.
like as I said, I asked the questions of like 2 7 foot guys, like what's it like finally getting to wrestle someone your own size? Or I've had Sam Holloway on and we talked way too much about he actually got to wrestle Microman, And
Yeah,
Sam is like
Sam's, yeah,
6'10".
I know Sam. He's a big
Yeah,
man.
big dude, and he got to do spots with Microman, and I'm like, I mean, this is a big Microman in my household, but I'm like, how does that work? Like,
I mean,
and especially in his case with like the language barrier too.
yeah.
Like it's crazy. But to kind of like move on from there as well. Great use of segues.
Yep.
That's what I'm the master of. I do want to talk Power Pro Lucha Libre.
Hmm.
It's honestly like I've put over in a lot of my appearances elsewhere. Like it's one of my favorite indies to watch overall,
Yeah.
just because this was a big, also a big Chikara household, and I feel
Hmm.
like this was a at least an indirect spiritual successor to
Yeah.
Chikara, if not a direct one, giving like who all's running around on the roster
Yeah.
as a whole. But you'd been wrestling for at least a year before they come around. So how did you kind of get onto their radar and like kind of integrate yourself in
Yeah.
with them?
Um, so actually it's like I mean, being at, Cheese's dojo helped a lot because a lot of the people that once the factory closed down, like the next closest thing is probably, and it was before Catch Point opened up in Philly. Um, there was that kind of in between period where the only places in the Philly area were Monster Factory and the Worldwide Dojo. And a lot of those Chikara people came to the Worldwide Dojo, and the Wrestle Factory people came to the Worldwide Dojo, and I got to know a bunch of them, and they're all awesome. The ones that I've met, and I kind of was trying to, I was at that point I was more of just like Sturdy Sal. Like I didn't have too much of a character. I was just a wrestler. But I was having good matches. Like I was, I think people could tell that, I had something in me, and I was always waiting for like, I was always worried with Cheese. I was waiting for the character thing to hit, and he's like, it'll come. Just give it time. Um, and as you could tell, Cheese is the one that has to talk me off the ledge a lot of the time. But I was like worried, and he's like, "It'll come. Just give it time. Like you're only a couple years in." Um, and actually, the people that run Power Pro, they kind of came to David and I with the idea of doing the state champs and kind of doing the throwbacks, kind of not the throwbacks, but kind of a spin off of the throwback and the varsity club and things like that, like just a kind of a old school like high school jock kind of team. And we both have football backgrounds, and it made sense. And we kind of went from there and was like, they kind of gave us the idea. They're like, we're gonna have you guys on the first show, and we'll see where it goes. And I mean, we kind of just took it and ran. And I always thank them so much because without Power Pro Lucha, I don't know if there would be the state champs. I don't know if there would be me having this much success. Singles as well. Like it was such a blessing, and to have them kind of believe in us as like wrestlers and kind of give us this idea, and us kind of I'm so happy that we bought in completely, and kind of took it and ran. And since that first match where we didn't have any matching gear, where we're just like trying out dumb stuff, and yeah, and then since then it's just been a lot of fun doing it with David. And David was always one of my, like, before the state champs, David also trains at the dojo, and he started a little bit before me, but we kind of had similar styles, so we would always wrestle each other. If we showed up at a random show in Delaware, they would put us together like, you guys are gonna wrestle. Cheese had us wrestle like 4 times on his Capture Lightning show. Like it was kind of like, it made sense for us, and like we became good friends through just like working together and things like that. And it was a great thing for us, I think both of us, that we kind of found. I mean, he was like, he was doing the same thing that I was, and it kind of gave us both a direction to go in. And then after a while, I was speaking with Jordan Oliver, and he's like, "Yo, why don't you just do this for single stuff?" And I'm like, I don't know. That's a very good question. I started doing that, and that's kind of when this stuff started. My single stuff also started taking off, and it's just so much easier to have, Sturdy Sal, the football player, because that's who I am. That's kind of, I grew up around it since I was born. I mean, it's what I love. It's what I've been around my whole life. So, being that is so much easier for me and calms so many nerves. It relaxes me so much having that to have instead of just like I have to have the perfect match and all the moves have to be great. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I have a fallback of like something gets messed up. All right, go do something dumb with the football or whatever. But yeah, it was that's kind of how it came about, and that's kind of how we got. They were kind of they wanted it to be a mixture of the old Chikara guard that you see and the newer younger guys coming up in the Philly area, and they wanted to kind of make it a blend. And I feel like they've done a great job of it. You got guys like the state champs. You got Junie, you got Ryan O'Neal, you got a bunch Julesy, you got a bunch of the young Philly guys getting opportunities on that show. While you also have the great stuff of the Hollow Wickeds, the Frightmares, the Mantises, all of them, the ants, like everything. So I think it's such a great mixture of the two. And I feel like it's been such a good almost 2 years of Power Pro Lucha that like it's I really don't know how you can start a company any better than what they've done so far.
They've generated a lot of buzz awfully quick
Hmm.
without necessarily being like the indie spot or like with say like your GCWs
Hmm.
or like prestiges or whatnot.
Yeah.
But after their first show, like they popped up. Like I'm still like the message boards are still a thing, or at least
Yeah.
one message board still exists. And like yeah, someone was on the board because like the board that I'm part of like was like wasn't officially part of, but there was a like kind of an exodus like towards the end of like it was part of like the Chikara.
Hmm.
Like a lot of us came from like the Chikara message board
Yeah.
over to this board when Chikara was kind of winding down.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's like somebody's just like, hey, like I found this new promotion that's an awful lot like Chikara,
Yeah.
like and like well, or at least somewhere I can watch it because no offense, I, I'm not traveling to Philly to watch
No,
wrestling.
far,
Like
it's far trip.
it's like, I don't like flying to begin with, and it's like that's like a vacation trip for me. So I'm going to
Yeah.
like do a lot of planning around it.
Yeah.
But like they're like it's on IWTV. Well,
Perfect.
coincidentally, I have IWTV, so sweet. We'll check it out on demand and we'll see what's coming up next. And like yeah, as an ultra car guy, like it blew my mind. So like yeah, I did throw some sponsorship money for a couple of shows on there, and thoroughly impressed by almost all the roster. And they bring in some names
Yeah.
too as well,
Yeah.
or bring back names because like Tim Donce, they brought Tim Donce
Tim
back.
Donst was
They're
there.
like
Yeah. Tim Donst been in a couple. Violence is Forever. Janela was at the last. Joey was at the last one.
yeah, Gabby
You
and
know,
Forza's come in, both
Gabby.
Haddocks for a
Yep.
couple shot. Yeah.
Yeah. So they they try to they kind of want to. I think they're doing a great job of being like a premier, trying to work themselves to a premier indie here on the East Coast, and I feel like they're doing the right things. And I mean, I don't know anything about promoting or anything like that, but like I said, like from what I can see, like I don't really know how you start a company any better than what they've done so far. So it's been an honor to be a part of. I think I've been a part of every show except maybe the first night. I wasn't a part of the first night of trios last year. So besides that, I've been a part of every show, and yeah, it's a great locker room. I mean, being able to pick the brains too of guys like Hollow Wicked and Mantis and all those guys that have done it at a high level for this long is has been awesome as well. So yeah, it's been really cool, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. And another thing is like Chikara was always heavy on the story and heavy on kind of the long term storytelling, and I feel like that gets lost a little bit. Obviously, on the indies, it's hard. When you got people month to month, you're kind of running a month each month, or people kind of travel and things like that. But they're trying, and it's been cool to have like stories be brought up involving us, and seeing other stories unfold involving other people. It's been awesome. So yeah, I'm really excited for what the future holds. And yeah, it will be hopefully we got we got one more show in July, and then trios, and then cybernetico. So it'll be a crazy it'll be a crazy end of the year for it. So
And one of the things you bring up the stories, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about them is that like there's no throwaway from a story point of view. There's no throwaway match on the car either. They're not like yes, they're going out there and having the bangers,
mhm.
but at a low key level, that's not necessarily the point
Yeah.
of the match. Like it's a building block into somebody's story, whether it's to, like, in the case of Harleen with the Prodigy Cup,
Yeah.
like here's this new face who's managed to take out all comers, and like, sure, here's Brooke Havoc, like they're gonna put on a banger, but really it's like the match itself is a spectacle. But like the point is like, like, can Harleen continue the role she's is, and or like we'll throw you guys out there as well, because
Yeah.
you guys were pretty integral in the big return of Avery Good, now
Yep.
talent scout.
Yes.
Um,
Bring
yeah,
them
yeah.
out.
And like, so what was and like he'd been like one of those Loki guys that like hardcore fans like really liked for a long time, even like after Chikara went down, and we're
Yeah.
like kind of hoping like he would get on with like a lot of the guys in AEW before he had chosen to kind of quasi hang up the
Mm.
boots, because obviously he is not he is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
full-time done that. But how many people really hang up the boots
For sure.
forever
Yeah.
without an injury? What is it like? What was it like to just kind of like be being told that like you guys are going to kind of like be part of the impetus of him like returning as, like, in this case, more of an almost authority figure, but like as a on-screen role?
Yeah.
Like, what was it like for you guys to kind of like be the impetus for his
Yeah.
return, per
So
se?
yeah, for me, I mean, that's another one of the guys that I mentioned with like Hollow Wicked and Mantis. Like a guy has been doing it at a high level for so long and just understands it at a different level, like wrestling, like being able to pick his brain. And when we were told about that, like, I obviously know of him and knew he was great, but like I didn't know him like well. Like he wasn't one of the guys that was coming down to the dojo and training every week and things like that. So I was really kind of the first time I got to really talk to him was the first time he kind of came out that first show. And he's awesome. Like he kind of immediately kind of took us under his wing, and was helping us out and being able to pick his brain. And sometimes I get the tough love from him when he's pulling my ear to the back or whatever. But I know it's out of love, and it's been awesome to kind of have him back on indie wrestling. And I mean, he's one of the great ones. And even if it's just on the mic or just managing, like his presence is just felt. Hopefully we could convince him to come back for trios, but we'll see.
That's a built-in trio right there.
Yep,
Like,
yep, but we'll see. He's got a match coming up in July. And yeah, like it's gonna be it's been really cool to have him, as someone who also has done the sports gimmick. I mean, he was a baseball, but it was like, you know what I mean? Like he did it and did it at a high level for so long. And he understands just wrestling at a high level, and it's been so awesome to be able to have him kind of guide us to how we should be doing stuff, how we should be carrying ourselves, give us ideas on stuff to do. It's been awesome. And with the promos, he's been such a help. So that's another thing. I mean, he's great on the mic. Like, I mean, he's awesome. He's a great talker and obviously a great wrestler too. So just having him in our corner, and with the ups and downs of it, but it's been awesome for sure.
yeah, he's a guy that I think is very much flown under the radar, mostly
Mhm.
because you didn't see some of those skills, like even within Chikara. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
he's putting on great masters, but like the mic, like
yeah,
you never realized like how good he was on the mic until he till like the last couple of years. Chikara, like, I mean, I think it might have just been the last year Chikara
yeah,
when he lost
Matt.
the mask,
Yeah,
and he finally had to like he was actually cutting like full on
yeah. I
promos
mean,
rather.
he's a great talker. Like I think very underrated. And like I said, like he didn't. I mean, with the mask, like it's different. I mean, it didn't really fit the character, but with this, it's he is great with it. And you know, it's. I mean, I remember, and I like just like you said, like I feel like he's so underrated, but the people in his area, like they know like how good he is. And like I remember when he came out for the first show, like I don't even know how long they were chanting the best four after
Oh
he
yeah,
came out. It was about like 4 minutes, and we're just standing
yeah.
there like, all right, like just let him go, like you know what I mean. So that part's awesome to especially as a new kind of team coming in, to have that name behind us that kind of helps us push us into the next level of like people seeing us, and that has helped us a ton for sure.
Oh, it adds a sense of legitimacy
Mhm.
because, like, not gonna lie, like, I wasn't aware of your
Yeah,
existence prior to that,
exactly.
and then like, but like, yeah, I'm gonna watch Power Pro, like, but I watch a bunch of indies where I don't know
Yeah,
anybody,
exactly,
but like,
exactly.
but a lot of those indies don't have the stamp of approval of Avery Good,
Yep.
so you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. So like I said, that's that even that part of it, just having that name attached to us has been such a help with, like I said, legitimacy of the team, and you know, kind of start it, like they Power Pro gave us the idea, we kind of took it, but to get it take it to take off to get to the next level, we needed someone like that, and he's been awesome in helping us with that.
And obviously, you guys are putting in the work as well, because like, just because there's a name attached to somebody doesn't mean it's going to work out. Like, how
For sure.
many times have we seen over the years, like, people get,
Yeah.
get a manager and it just kind of goes nowhere with
No
it.
doubt.
Like,
No doubt. Yeah.
even the great Claudio Castagnoli had, like, arguably the world's greatest manager, and
Yep.
it was, pardon the phrasing, but a wet fart.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
outside of the initial, like, blast of like, oh crap,
Yeah.
Cesaro at the time is with Paul Heyman, and then, like, yeah, none, it just nothing. But
Yeah, exactly. And I think, that's something that, we've been big on, is like not taking this opportunity for granted. Is like, like we're getting these opportunities from Power Pro and from Avery, and we kind of got to take it and roll with it. And we've been able to, like, we've been able to go other places and wrestle. Like, we were at Restovis for BST, and we got to be a part of that whole thing. That was awesome. We got to, I mean, I've never wrestled at Whitey, what is it? Not White Eagle. The wherever they have beyond that. But
it's the White Eagle. I think it's
it
the
is
White
the White
Eagle.
Eagle. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That yeah. I got to wrestle there, and that was a, awesome, a bucket list thing for me. And that's because of you know probably the first part of it is the Avery Good, but us kind of getting ourselves out there and making ourselves known in the Northeast area, of kind of going to different promotions, and like going to a place, wrestling their tag team and having a great match, and that kind of, the word gets around that you're a team that could be relied on for a great match. So yeah, we've kind of tried to see this as like, yeah, we can't let these opportunities kind of slip through our fingers. We got to take advantage of them. If they've been so gracious to, give us uh, these perks of being a part of Power Pro Lucha and having Avery Good with us, we have to use it to our advantage, and make sure we're not squandering it.
Yeah, and like, my research comes in two fronts usually.
Yeah.
One, watching way too much wrestling, and then two, I'm an ardent believer in cage match, and
Yep.
I know it's not 100% accurate, because it's only as good as the information fed to it. It's a little bit more reliable than Wikipedia, but you still, like, it's still just a handful of people in Germany, like, taking match results and plugging it into the system. But like, going through like your cage matches, like, tag team championship, championship, like, so like, you
Yeah.
guys are coming in like hot in like
Yeah.
every place you go, and seem to be in contention for the titles for companies that you're debuting for, and there's something
Yeah.
to be said to be put in that position, like, regardless.
One day we'll win one, I swear. But yeah, yeah, but that's a great, like, that's an awesome spot to be in. I think, like, even if we're the guy that comes into your home promotion, wherever it is, and we wrestle your tag team, and yeah, like, we might not get it done, but we kind of, it's another place where we're expanding our reach, which is awesome. And a lot of the places too, like, we'll go back and we'll start trying to get there consistently, and it's been a great, and like you said, like, I'm never gonna complain about a debut match being for the tag belts, so I can't complain ever. But yeah, it's been a cool spot to be in, and it's not something that I've had as like a singles, guy. Usually when you're a singles guy coming in, you get whatever, the pre-show match or the opener, and they kind of give you a couple minutes to see what you got. And with the tag team, it's like, yeah, you guys got 15 minutes for the belts. Go have fun, and it's an awesome place to be for sure.
Well, and let's be real, like, tag team wrestling is kind of a, like, sadly, kind of a niche in this
Hmm.
day and age. And like, yeah, there are a lot of tag teams out there, but there's not necessarily a lot of tag teams who like have made it a point to like really stay as a tag team,
Yeah.
like I almost like not necessarily exclusively, but like like we'll say like half their bookings per
Yeah.
se, or as a team, and so many teams don't bother with. I don't know. It drives me crazy. Not at least not having similar gear. Like you don't have to be
Yeah.
twinsies about it, but like
That was
at
the
least
first
have
thing Avery said to us. He said, "You guys got to get matching gear." And I was like, "All right, yeah, fair enough. We're working on it. We were working on it at the
yeah.
time. It didn't come in time, but yeah,
Yeah, like you don't have to be twinsies, but like at
yeah,
least the same colors,
yeah,
or like the same, like we'll call it general design, because like
mhm,
it's okay for one. Like I look at the Noonday, like they didn't all wear the exact same things
yeah,
necessarily, but you knew they were together because their outfit was at least coordinated,
yeah,
And a lot of tech teams don't even bother doing that, and it
yeah,
like drives me crazy. You're supposed to be like an expert at teaming, and like yes, clothing doesn't make the man, like as my hobo self should tell, should be evident, but it's just like I think it's the little things like that that go a long way, even like within the psychology of wrestling. um and that being said, like I've had halves of tag teams because I'm not good at reaching out at tag teams at the same time,
yeah.
and hurting cats sometimes is
Oh
really
yeah, it could be
hard to do.
getting me and
like,
David
like oh
sometimes
like
because David
oh
lives in Delaware, so sometimes I don't even know what he's doing. So it's like we gotta. It's hard to get us. I mean, we've done it before, but yeah,
I would say I've tried like sometimes like there's like, oh well, I work second shift, like, oh well, I just work kind of whenever. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, well I need you both at the same time, like even if you're not together in the same room, that's fine, because obviously this is
yeah,
all like, hate to spoiler for anyone who wasn't aware, like the thanks to the magic of the internet, I can talk to people
for
everywhere,
sure.
and I don't think I've ever done an in-person interview technically. um but you know oh like yeah, hurting cats, and when people have real lives and or families, like heck, like I mean, not to pull back the curtain too much, but like, how hard was it to actually get us
Yeah, that's what I
together?
mean.
And
It's hard enough to
and it
get
was just
it's
two
hard
of
enough to
us.
get one wrestler to get locked down for enough time. Getting two is now you're asking a lot, but yeah.
I did a whole stable once, and I'm like, part of me goes like, never again. I mean,
Yeah.
if it, I say this, and then someone will come along like, hey, I got a stable. Like, cool. What can you guys do it? And then we'll fight for a month and try to
Yeah,
work
we
it
try to
out.
figure it out.
But joking aside, so as someone who's doing a lot of both singles and tag work, like, do you have a preference, like either way, when it comes to the work? Like obviously, like you want to work as champs when you're doing the tag stuff, but
Mhm.
like is there any like predilection to being a singles guy?
No, I don't mean I think like I'm good with whatever. I think the good thing with this team is, I've been able to do both. Like I haven't had to, you know, be just a tag guy or be just we haven't, but we also haven't had problems doing tag bookings and getting tag bookings and being a tag team. I definitely think it's opened up a lot more opportunities being in a tag team. Some places that might not need a singles person, but they need a tag team. That gets me in the door there and gets us in the door there, and I'm 100% okay with that. You know what I mean? Like I'm good with either. I enjoy both a lot. I enjoy working with David a ton. Like it's always a great time. I also enjoy, when I'm on my own doing single stuff and doing stuff like that. So yeah, I don't have a preference either way. I think for me, it's just I'm trying to wrestle the most as possible. So whether it's singles or tag, I'm if there's a show for me to wrestle, I will wrestle on it. So yeah,
Oh, and now I need to joke that we need Avery needs to do his job as talent scout and find you guys a third to get you in some trios action. If he's not going to put the boots back on
that's what I'm
himself, then
saying. Yeah,
then he needs.
we're running low on time here to get in the trios tournament. So, but
Yeah.
if we do win our match in July, we do get to pick our partner. So we'll see.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
there we go.
yeah, yeah.
So that's a great segue into where can we find you in the where can we find you in the near future? Where can we find you on social media as well?
Yeah. So Sturdy Sal 46 on all social medias. And then in the near future, where will I be? I will be in Coney Island on Saturday for the GCW 4th of July show. That's going to be a crazy card. Where will I be? Me and David will be in 1CW in Delaware on July 11th. What else do I have? Power Pro is at the end of the month. I think it's July 26th. Is our show the next show for Power Pro Lucha? And then in July, mid July, I will be in Dallas and Tulsa for GCW as well. So look out for me there. It will be a packed July, and I'm excited for it, and a good mix of singles and tag stuff to do. So, I'm hyped for the month.
It can never be busy enough in the
Yep.
world of professional wrestling.
hmm
But Sal, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a blast talking about all the weird stuff we've managed to pack
Yeah.
into this 50 minutes of talking. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you having me on. It was a great time. Thank you.
The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaOfCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the description below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.